Hello everyone. In this lesson, we're going to look at SQL Server data types, as this is necessary before we can dive into creation of tables and working with SQL statements. So SQL Server is a strong type language. In other words, you have to define your data type before you can work with them, unlike a language such as JavaScript, where you just declare a variable and then when you assign it a particular type, the type that you've assigned it determines what the variable is going to be. So in a brief overview over here, I've split the data types into these following categories. We have character types, numerical types, date types, and BLOB, which is short for binary large object. Keep in mind that some of these character types are designed to be very compatible with older systems. So they are ASCII, but SQL Server does support Unicode, which takes up 2 bytes instead of ASCII's 1 byte of data. The data types text and ntext have been officially deprecated, but they are still there for backwards compatibility with something such as earlier versions of SQL Server or say Microsoft Access, or other SQL languages such as SQLite. So character data types, we have Unicode and non-Unicode. The little n is short for national, which basically means Unicode, which is to support other languages other than North American English. So if you have German or Arabic or something like that, that it is supported if you select the nchar or nvarchar. The char is a fixed length and a variable char or nvarchar is variable length. So if I select something that says nchar or char 10, it expects 10 characters and no more. If I provide something less, the rest of it will be padded with spaces. The variable one is just like the name says, variable. And if I select something that's 10 characters and I only put in 5, it's going to only take up spaces basically for 5 characters. So what I was just saying. Now, interesting to note that the varchar allows you to go up to 8,000 characters, and nvarchar, because it takes up 2 bytes, goes up to half of that, as you can see. There is an nvarchar max available, which allows you to go up to 2 gigabytes. I'm not quite sure where you would get 2 gigabytes worth of text to dump into one SQL Server cell, database cell, but it is a possibility. Numerical data types come in these forms and a couple of others. So these are exact numbers. The integer type, which as you can see goes from about minus 2 billion to plus 2 billion. We have small int, which, and I have a typo here, it's supposed to be from minus 32,768 to plus 32,767. There is tiny int, which only represents the first 256 numbers from 0 to 255. We have big int, which as you can see goes to very large numbers. We have the money type, which is up to 4 decimal places and minus 922 to plus 922 trillion. And we have small money if you're dealing with smaller ones, which you can see is quite small, from minus 214,000 to plus 214,000. We do have decimal and numeric, which is fixed precision and scale. So if I have, for instance, decimal 92, that means I have 9 digits and 2 of them are after the decimal points. Now I want to point out that decimal and numeric are basically identical. They're not different. It's just that over the years they've had different names for these, so SQL Server has both. Money and small money are exact numbers. There is a floating number available, which is an approximation number. So you use that for scientific work, generally speaking. We do have data and time data types. There's a date time, there's a time, and there's a date time combination. SQL Server has a date time 2, which is recommended for you to use because it's more accurate than date time and also takes up less space. If you're interested in working with international date time offset, you can use date time offset and the later one, which is date time offset 2. So here's some of the other data types. We do have binary, var binary, bit, which is basically a 0 or a 1. We can have XML, we have unique identifiers, and SQL Server allows you to actually define your own data types based on other data types that are already built in. The binary and var binary are for storing file attachments if that is something you like to do, and that instead of storing the file on disk, store it directly in the database. And it allows you to have file types up to 2 gigabytes. So that was a brief overview of SQL Server data types. We are going to get started in future lessons in working with tables, and as we go through, we'll deal with these data types, and I will also teach you about sequences, where they come into play. And we needed to know this to understand, what primary keys are, foreign keys are, check constraints, all that stuff. Thank you for being a great audience. As always, please share your knowledge with others. And if you like these videos, please share them with your loved ones.